Hi everyone. Thank you for joining today. Yeah, big topic today. So if that topic called to you, if you're struggling out there, going through something difficult, if you're struggling with trauma, my heart goes to you. And please listen to this full video. So hopefully that's gonna help you on your healing journey. So, three things that I've learned from my own experience with traumatic events in my life, in my past, especially there was like a big one event that really traumatized me, and I was struggling with my whole life. But I've learned three things that really, I think, can shift things. And the first of all, I want to say that I'm not saying um, I'm I've learned from I could say things I've learned from surviving from trauma or so I don't want to use that word survivor. Yes, I'm a survivor. I've survived some events in my past, but I don't want to identify as a survivor because I'm much more, as we're gonna discuss more in this video. What I like to use instead is to say that I've healed my own trauma. I spent a lot of time really doing the work and healing my inner wounds. So first thing is, this is actually a good segue here. Yes, we can heal from trauma, and you can, I did it. It's possible. It can be a long journey, especially if it's something really big that happened to you, and you have like a severe consequences, serious symptoms. However, it is possible, and I want to emphasize this because um, through my own journey, I would often wonder, okay, is it? Sometimes it feels like it keeps coming back, and it does. I think in some capacity, in some, it comes in waves. But the more work you do on it, and like the less intense, it is each time. But it is also possible to completely, you know, um, put that behind you and step into a much healthier and happier version of yourself. I think this is important. Yes, you can be happy besides what happened to you. You can be happy besides even all the consequences that this event had in your life, even though sometimes it may be difficult so to believe. So that's why I'm also doing this video. And believe me, I've been there. I've been to very dark phases and was hopeless many times. I really didn't believe that it was possible to overcome it, but it is possible, and I'm here today to tell you this and actually work with people to help them go through their healing journey. So um, it is possible first that it's a big resonant yes to heal from trauma and to um, to make it so it's not trauma anymore. Actually, it's a big word, it's a huge word, and maybe um you've not overused it, but yeah, it's out there already. And this is one of the great things, actually, that um it is possible to heal. You have such great resources out there nowadays. Like, we're talking more and more about this kind of things. Mental health is becoming less and less taboo, so we have great resources. We have a lot of books, a lot of experts have written about trauma. And reach out if you need a list of references or resources, because we have a lot of books out there. We have a lot of videos, people coming online to teach about this kind of things. So the knowledge is here, the tools are here for you to heal. There are many modalities, healing modalities for you to heal. And what I love about how this movement is going is that we're starting to understand that it's a holistic approach, right? And that's why I work with in a holistic manner, and that I really believe in holistic health, is that we need to cover all aspects, that have been impacted by the trauma. That means like our whole being, basically, but really the body, most importantly, and our emotions, the mind, and even the spiritual aspect. So There are a lot of great resources out there. Please use them. I wish, like, years ago, or even when I was much younger, I was already, my healing journey, dealing with all those things. But there are many things that were not talked about at this time, and resources, it wasn't I didn't have access to all those books and everything. So for a long time I was alone on my journey. um, and I this is also my message for you today, that reach out. Don't hesitate to reach out, because out there is a lot of help available. And I know that sometimes it can be hard to believe that we're going to get out of it, but yes, you can. It is possible to completely let go of it and make it in such a way that it's not going to be trauma anymore for you. It's just going to be a story. And that's my second point, and I think the most important is that your trauma, whatever happened to you, is a story. It is a valid one, because I'm not here to deny that things happen to you, things have happened to me. um, events have Events happened, okay, and they had a certain impact on us. And however, the how we have approached those events, you know we it's very much, there was an impact, but then the process is very much mental. So, like, naturally, as human beings, we need to make sense of things. Okay, creating stories, it's part of um, how we how we how we process things, but also how we grow, and how we decide to construct our reality, our inner worlds. And this is what happens when something big happens, like when something big like this happens, we um, we create a story. Okay, and creating a story, once again, it's normal. And especially if something happened to you in childhood, like, we need to make sense of what happened, in a way that it guarantees our survival, and we can survive the event. Okay, or even if it's when something that happened during your adulthood, um, we need to make sense so we can move on. But the stuff is still there deep within, we know, and it's affecting us negatively. It's impacting our health and so forth. So, going back to the story, you've created a story in your mind. I did create a story in my mind, okay, before. And then it's really about how much do you believe that story. Okay, and what I love about this is that it helps you to understand that your trauma doesn't have to be crystallized into, okay, this happened, into one event and one version, one interpretation of what happened. Yes, something was terrible, something happened, it was terrible, it was horrible. um, and at the moment, you made created a story in order to survive, to move on. However, you've moved on, and we sometimes we forget that we, or instead we cannot move on because we get stuck with the story behind us in the past. But naturally, we want to move on. Our being wants to move on, wants to heal, wants to let go. Yeah, to continue to live basically. But if you get caught in the story, if you get stuck on that same story that, yes, helped you survive in the past, but no, is not helping you in any way right now, in order to move on, to move towards who you really want to be, what you really want to do, just live your life basically. You will need to reframe that story. You need to recreate that story. um, and this is what I love about the work. That when I work with people, or even with myself, I did everything. I went through it, and that's why now I share it with people. But it's so interesting, it's so fascinating, and to see the flexibility that we have to change, how we interpret things. And this is very, very important. Changing your interpretation of things, because your interpretation will determine um, if the story is disempowering or empowering for you. And this is like a big key, a very important thing to understand, is that how are you going to interpret the events. is it gonna something that just ruined your life, just had such a big impact that you cannot live your life today? Or are you going to use that to propel you into the best version of yourself, into who you truly are, into finding yourself, into going into that beautiful journey of healing yourself and accepting yourself, embracing yourself? um, so this is really, the decision is really in your hands. It's all in your hands. You can it is possible to change. This is you need to do a shift in perspective here. Shift the angle from which you're looking at your own story, and remember what happened to you in the past. It was the you in the past. You've grown so much since then, even though it hasn't been easy. It's been hard, but you're watching this video today for a reason. Okay, you've made it up here, meaning that it is time, my friend. It is time to really look at the story first that you've made up in your mind until now about this horrible thing that has happened to you, and um, and then working on reframing that story. And of course, um, working with someone to do that. That's the best way. Granted that you're working with someone who is here to understand the whole process, and can help you on a journey of rewriting your story. Yeah, but um, just stepping out of your own shoes for a second, and just shifting that perspective is really gonna reframe how you think, and your beliefs. So do you need a certain amount of readiness for that before going into that work, and being ready to, okay, having the open-mindedness to look at your event from a different perspective. And that leads me actually to the last part, which also is very important, is that in our stories, very often we tend to put responsibility on either another person, or it could be other people, or a situation, whatever event has impacted us. Okay, so we put the responsibility outside. We put our own happiness, we put our own success and um, independence in the hands of another entity or another person. And if something happened to you because someone did to you, well, usually we blame that person. We say, okay, because of this person or because of this event happened, therefore, and then that's when the story starts, right? Therefore, um, maybe I cannot do this. I cannot live my life. Um, I'm never gonna be able to achieve anything. I'm always gonna be sick. I'm always gonna blah 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 blah. So once again, I'm not invalidating your story. I'm not invalidating what happened, but then how do we interpret that, right? The events. And I learned that really the hard way, because for a long time I didn't even realize that, wow, I was putting so much power in the hand of it, or just the event, just what happened. I was blaming what had happened, and also the person that was involved that did me the injustice. And also I was really focused on, because of my values, on like it wasn't fair and blah blah blah. So but it's diminishing so much of your power. And it's really ties you to this event, and you can you feel glued to what happened. And then so you have to extract yourself from that, understand that really happiness is in your hand. Like, if you want to shift, if you want to change, if you want to heal, if you want to let go of the past, it's really in your hand. And believe me, I learned that. It took me a long time to learn this, but it actually is. It's like the harsh truth, like, you want to be happy. Actually, it is, but first of all, it is possible to overcome. It goes back to my first point, like, it is possible to completely shift, but and then you have to do the work for it. And because no one else is gonna do it for you, even though you receive help. And I really encourage you to receive support from other people, do therapy, whatever you need to do to heal. However, in the end, it goes back to your inside you, your own, like, this inner decision that you take, that okay, i'm I understand that I'm responsible for my own healing and happiness, and I decide consciously to let go of this, because once again, going back to the second point now, it's just it's just a story, yeah, and you decide to let go of the story, to not believe that story anymore, or rather to change the story. And this is like this is my favorite part, because then we get to recreate the story, and I love to do that. you know I too, that was very interesting for me. I just really enjoy to rewrite my own story, and then I enjoy to do that with other people. It's just fascinating because I have so many options, right? You can, in a way, of course, that is, empowering for you, and there are many creative ways to do that. And so this is pretty amazing. And then, so rewriting the story is not um, enough actually, because then you have to believe in the story, in this new story. But then it's also part of the process, because it is possible, if you have believed in the fake story, then you're completely capable of embodying a new story, but that which is much more, which is healthier for you, and which contribute to your well-being, and you thriving, instead of you, like, distracting yourself, because mentally and maybe physiologically. Talking about the body and physiology, um, this is very important, because the story is also in your body. It's how you keep the story real. Because yes, when something happened to you, like the trauma happened to you, you probably absorbed a lot of those energies. Okay, so they are here, they're in the body, and you need to decondition the body from all from this memory as well. So in your process of, letting go of the old story, we work with the body to decondition the body from the story and its effects, and all, probably the stress, the anxiety, whatever that you've accumulated from the story. So letting go of this physically, emotionally, mentally, and then rewiring your whole being into what you want to believe in for you. Now it's all about you, it's all about recreating the strong body, those the strong belief systems, and recondition yourself. Said in a nice way, right? Like that is like conducive for you, that is empowering for you. Recondition yourself so you can really live your life. And I'm not saying this is just not, I know we're talking a lot about those things these days, but this is really from experience. I'm telling you, it's actually how it works. And I fought aspects of this, what I'm telling you, for a long time. For example, for a while I didn't want to believe the new story, but it's how I was able to flip it, to actually, okay, recreate my story and see it as as just what it is, a story. Because the reality is just events just happen. Stuff just happen, meaning that, and they don't have an intrinsic meaning in them, and we apply the meaning, we interpret, and then we create a whole thing in our head. And to finish with this quote, the famous quote by Gabor Mate about trauma. When trauma is not something that happens to you, it's what happens inside you as a consequence of the trauma. And it is true, it's inside you, in your inner world. It's what you make up of the trauma. It's how you interpret the event. So yes, it's inside you physically. It impacts you, especially if you experience physical abuse. Yes, it happens inside you, but it also what happens inside your mind. And usually, on the body level, we are able to heal. We are able to heal the body from the trauma, but it's when it comes to the mind, this is where it gets very, very tricky and very, very difficult, because we are so attached to our beliefs. We're so attached to, and the stories we're creating in our mind, to our point of views, our perceptions. No, I mean the right, you know, and you really have to let go of that a little bit. You have to be more flexible about how you interpret the events and what has happened. So yes, it's inside you. This is where you need to start to do the work. So go there, go to the root of the trauma, go to the root of the story. um the root is, you know, what are the thoughts that you've created around what happened. Okay, so in summary, this is really basically, it's like three major points to understand if you're working on trauma, or you intend to, you know, go deeper in your healing journey, or you want to start your healing journey. But first of all, it is possible to overcome trauma, and understanding that trauma, it's a big word, yeah, but it's not. It's also the one of the meanings we apply to it. We call it trauma with a big T happen, but you can morph this word. You know, you don't have. It doesn't have to stay stagnant. Um, you can transform that. You can transform this. This is my second point. You transform by transforming the story and your interpretation of it, of the events, what happened, and um, conditioning yourself physically, emotionally, mentally. So you start not even believing, but yeah, going from believing to knowing that it is actually the new start. This is actually what happened. So instead of, oh, this happened that ruined my life, you're gonna say, no, this happened, and that was the best thing that happened to me, because it allowed me to become the best person, um yeah, I could become. And I could say this for myself, maybe, perhaps, I don't know, I'm in this process also. So but you know, it's this shift that I really noticed, really helped me in and is still helping me in creating a better version of myself, right? And the third point is that the third point is that even though something happened due to external circumstances or someone else, today it's in your hand. It is your responsibility. It's you. It's on you to get out of it, um, and it's on you to move on. Okay, you have to own this responsibility of working at your happiness, even though um, that person didn't say sorry, even though there are irreversible consequences, and even though, you know, you have all those deep feeling of, even of anger, maybe resentment, or you're still holding a grudge, and yes, the other person or the circumstances had a big responsibility at the time, but as of today, you need to, you know, come back to the present moment and understand that this is you today. It's in your hands. You have full agency, you have full responsibility to get out of it. And this can feel terrifying. This can feel, you know, it's like, where do I start? Or sometimes we hold on to the trauma for certain reasons, and that's another whole topic. But so we are scared to let go of something that maybe is familiar. You know, if you've been dealing with that for a long time. I was in that situation for a long time. I became very familiar, like too comfortable, you know, in this whole inner world of mine. And I was like, you know, it's all I knew. But then I had to really extract myself and get out of it, because I, you know, was the wake up call. Wow, I need to really, no one is going to help me from outside, you know. Yes, I can receive support from other people, but in the end, it's really in my own hands to decide I want to be happy, right? Okay, so I hope this is helpful. Don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. And I will see you next time.